All right, guys, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody can see my screen and can hear me loud and clear without any problem. All right, great. Thank you. So my name is Prateek Agrawal. So my name is Prateek Agrawal. I'm going to be the instructor or consultant or SME, whatever you want to call me. Answer all your queries today regarding how to prepare for analytics and data science interviews. Before I begin, must thank you everybody who have decided to attend today's workshop. And if you have decided to attend today's workshop, remember we have a three session series, and by the end of the three sessions, if you attended all the three sessions, you do get a certificate as well, data science bootcamp certificate as well. So today we have the career workshop on preparing for analytics and data science interviews. Tomorrow, we have a very interesting session on Power BI, a case study based session. And day after tomorrow, again, I'll be there where I'm going to use another case study to explain how SQL is used in solving real life business problems. So by the end of this 3-day session, you would be gaining a lot of knowledge and information regarding data analytics and data science industry. So please do join all the 3 sessions so that you also get certified as well as you get relevant knowledge as well. Plus, we do maintain a very lively YouTube channel, informative YouTube channel, specifically focused on various data specific tutorials, free tutorials, industry speakers, and also very important, we have a strong alumni base. So every time, you will also find a lot of our alumni interview experiences with different kind of companies like Tesco, Math Company, Musicma, Genpact, Fractal. So there are a lot of company-specific data science interview questions as well available. Recordings available on Ivy's YouTube channel. Okay, so we do provide the recorded session only to the participants who attend the workshops, not to the participants who do not attend the workshop. Alrighty, so the session today, the objective, the goal of the session today is to talk about, how do we prepare for analytics and data science interviews. And in my experience of approximately 16, 17 years, I have gone through this journey as well. I've been on the other side of the table where I've interviewed a lot of people, I've built large teams, and plus I've helped a lot of companies also build a team, a very, very large team, and we continue to do that in Ivy as well. Plus, I've had a unique experience of helping or coaching more than 150 recruiters in the world of data science, talent acquisition specialists, who I help them create strategies to acquire data science talent as well. So, so the idea is that I do have some understanding of what really goes on in the recruiter's mind when they're interviewing you for the data roles. So that's going to be the focus area. Feel free to ask me any questions today, and I'll be more than happy to answer as well as we go on. Good. So let's start with it. What I've done is, just a quick introduction. It'll take probably 15-20 seconds. So we spent approximately 13, 14 years in the world of data science consulting and coaching. We have worked with several, and we continue to work with several large Fortune 500 companies, both in India and Europe and in the US. We've been at top ranked data science and analytics schools. Just that we don't do a lot of TV ads. Maybe many of you may not have seen us on the TV. But yeah, we've had 26,000, it's an old data, 26,500 alumni in the world of data. We've worked with marquee clients all the way from FCPG clients like Coca-Cola, manufacturing giants, Honeywell, Tata Steel, ITC, to IT giants like Accenture, Capgemini, Cognizant, and so forth. We are present in different cities. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about data science career and data science courses. I will be more than happy to help. So that was about Ivy. And now what I've done is that I've divided my session into 5 steps specifically. And I've tried to focus on analytics and data science interviews, but I would also talk about data engineering interviews as well. I mean, what would be the steps, similar steps. So I've got 5 steps, plus I've added a bonus step 0. This is my favorite step, but I don't count it as part of the 5 steps. The reason is that if you do not do this step, these 5 steps would be of no use. So what is that? What are those steps? I'm going to talk about each one of those steps one by one. So let's start with step 0. Now, step 0 of this roadmap to prepare for data science interview is that is problem solving and structured thinking. Now, what is problem solving, and how do the companies judge problem solving skills and your structured thinking ability? Any idea? Anybody who can talk about what is the meaning of problem solving, and why is it even required for a data scientist to, or for any data person to have? Why is problem solving required? Think about it. Why is that required, problem solving? Anybody? Why is it even required? What do you think?
Sir, is it because that maximum number of raw data is available right now?
Not necessarily. Data comes later actually to meet a business requirement. People says, one very simple thing that we do in the world of data is that we use the data to ultimately solve some kind of a problem statement. We just don't look at the data without having a goal to solve a business problem. Say, for example, a company says that we are launching a new business vertical, right? And the new business vertical is, let's say, an e-commerce portal. So what kind of product should we focus on in this new e-commerce portal? What kind of product should we really choose to display in our front page? So that is a problem statement. And in order to answer that problem statement, as an analytics person, you would say that, all right, I will need some data. I'll need some data and information. Maybe I have some data available from the industry. Maybe I do not have the data. I may have to do some survey, or maybe I capture that data from the existing e-commerce players. But I will need some data. And using that data, I will answer this question as to what kind of product or which product category should that company decide to launch with in the new e-commerce portal, right? So the idea is very, very simple here, that without knowing how to solve a business problem, even if you have a lot of data with you, it is not going to be helpful, right? I also, there's another question that somebody has asked in the chat, that is this workshop for professionals, college students? What I've done is that I have categorized, I should have probably told you earlier. What I've done is that I have categorized my workshop into for targeting towards 3 level of people, 0 to 3 years, which I categorize as fresh college grads, fresh college students, or early professionals. Then 4 to 8 years, and then 8+ years professionals. So we have designed the workshop in such a way that all 3 category of people would be benefited, Satyam. So don't worry about it. Halesh is saying that structured thinking, because we deal with data, one should be good in numbers, definitely, and using those numbers, one can concentrate on requirements. Okay, well, see, I tell you one very simple example of structured, of maybe a good problem solver. A good problem solver knows what is the line which divides between positive state and a negative state, right? Meaning, what are those main questions that will help you answer a problem statement? Say, for example, a very, very talented, let's say a very academically accomplished cousin, okay, who just finished her 10th standard, comes to you and asks you this question that, hey, big brother or big sister, I want to increase or I want to enhance my academic score. Please help me. I don't know why I can't enhance, or how I should enhance my academic score. Now, if you're a good problem solver, instead of telling him, instead of telling her that study more, you would actually not directly say study more. You would say, all right, there is a thinking layer. There is a layer where you will think. You will say, all right, give me some data, give me some information about you. I want to understand that how much did you get in 10th score, in 10th boards. So suppose she says that, you know, in maths, I got 98, in science, I got 97, in English, I got 98, in social science, I got 95, and in my elective paper of, I don't know, am I missing out on any of the, let's say on my elective language paper, I don't know, Hindi, I got 95. Now with these marks, the person has come to you, right? And you, so now looking at this data, what would you say? What do you think? What would you say? Would you say that if you want to enhance your marks, focus on Hindi and focus on social studies? Because she got 95 there. What do you think? Would you say that? What do you think, guys? Would you say this? So a lot of people are here. What do you think? It's a very simple question. She wants to understand how should she increase her marks. She has given you all the data that you wanted. Now, what is your judgment? Are you going to say that, all right, focus on social studies and focus on Hindi to increase your marks further? Babar, you say no, but why no, Babar? Why no? You see, to answer this question, if you're a good problem solver, you would not just make the judgment on the basis of the small data. And you would also add some kind of context understanding. If she has gotten these marks, her aggregate score is at least close to 97%, which is almost a perfect score a person can get. So this is almost how academically sound a person can really get in a standardized examination. And since it is a standardized examination, these marks, all these marks, whether it's 95, 97, 98, all these marks are extremely high marks, right? So the real problem statement is not that she has to increase her academic score. So her problem statement itself is wrong. So you would dig deep into it. You would say that, are you really sure that this is the real problem statement that you're facing? Is this the real worry that you have, or something else is worrying you, right? So if you dig deeper, I'm not sure, you know, what could be the reason for why she's feeling that her academic scores are wrong or are not that great, but her academic scores are outstanding. So the data also says so, and the contextual understanding also says so. So then the real problem statement is not that she has to increase she's feeling depressed, or she's not feeling happy about her academic score, but it may be some other reason. Maybe just that, you know, one of her friends got maybe half a point aggregate score more than what she got as overall percentage. It could be anything, but it can't be that she has to increase. So the definition of a good problem solver is a person who does not directly jump into the solution the moment there is a problem statement, but that person will take a structured approach to divide that problem into, we call it as series of main questions. Then for each one of these main questions, he will then, let's say this is question 2, this is question 3, and then for each one of these main questions, then that person will build some hypothesis. Hypothesis is speculative answer, you know, and for each one of the hypotheses, then the person will say that these are the data points that we will want to cover. And once that person has the data point, the good problem solver has the data point, that will validate or disprove the hypothesis. The moment the hypothesis is proven, then you'll say that the answer to this main question is this, right? So one of the main question in this particular problem statement, that how do I increase my academic score, is the academic score really low? That is one of the main business questions, or main question to ask here. The hypothesis, let's say you have some understanding of that cousin of yours. So you would say that the hypothesis that her academic scores are not low, right? Now, how do you know that her academic scores are not low? So the data point that you will cover is the data question that you will cover is you will get the subject-wise academic scores, and then you'll also get a comparison with the overall result of the board, right? And then once you have compared that, then you will say answer to this question that her academic scores is her academic scores really low? Answer is no, her academic score is not really low, as we saw in the data as well. So that's how you divide a problem into a series of main questions, and then you take each one of the main question, you divide it further into hypothesis, and then you validate the hypothesis with the help of data. That is called as a structured thinking approach towards solving the problem. You understand? And this is one of those very, very important skill set that most of the recruiters look for. Now, in order to test this series of skill set, they normally, in the interviews, they would normally ask you what kind of questions. I'm sure some of you must have faced some of these interviews. The kind of questions that they normally ask to test problem solving, structured thinking ability are these: guesstimates, logical reasoning, data interpretation, and quantitative aptitude. These three things, you might have also seen them in CAT question, GMAT question, GRE question sets, almost a typical level, maybe one level down, but almost the same level. So if you want to practice on logical reasoning, BI, and quantitative aptitude topics, you must practice the CAT level question. And this is specifically very, very important if you are in the first category, the fresh college category. This becomes even more important because the round 0 will be like a written round where you may be asked about these things. Now, what are guesstimates or logical puzzles or brain teasers? Anybody who has worked on or practiced guesstimates? Anybody who might have done it? Nobody? Guesstimates. Let me give you a guesstimate then. Guess plus estimating is what Halesh is saying. He just divided the word into two parts, and that's what he said. Let me give you an example of a guesstimate. Yeah. Suppose if I were to ask you that how many or how much, let's call it as how much is the monthly sales of your favorite restaurant? Or the number of schools in Bangalore? Very good. Number of schools in Bangalore, number of post offices in your city, number of new passenger cars are sold. How many number of new passenger cars are sold in India every year? Any one of such questions can be guesstimates, where the interviewer is not expecting a right or a wrong answer. The interviewer is expecting right or wrong approach. So the focus is on the approach that you take in order to answer the question, not the ultimate answer per se. It is a journey that matters, not the result in this particular scenario. Guesstimates can be, okay, Sanyam was saying that he was asking what could be the Maggie's annual sales. Perfect. That's a very good guesstimate question to ask. I've been asked how many crores. I remember my first management consulting interview in New York. I was in New York, and the interviewer asked me how many crores are there in New York Manhattan area, and I was stumped, right? I mean, how do I guess how many crores are there in New York Manhattan area? Fortunately for me, one of my friends had a similar question being asked a couple of days before me. So to answer that question, he had mentioned that to the interviewer that there are 100,000 crores in New York Manhattan. And the interviewer asked, how are you so confident about that there are 100,000 crores? And he said, well, I'm confident. If you're not confident, you can go ahead and count it. Now, the idea is that if, if the interviewer has to count, then, give me a second, guys, I forgot to start recording. If the interviewer has to count how many crores are there in New York Manhattan area, then of course there can be less, there can be more. And then when the interviewer said, what if I find more number of crores? So my friend said that if you find more, then they must have flown, they must have brought some cousins from Canada to New York. And if you find less, they must these crows must have flown down to Canada to meet their friends. Well, it was a funny answer that he gave, but of course, when he told me about this answer, I was not very convinced. And then so we dug around. Back then there was not much of Google. I'm talking about early 2000s. So then I realized that most of these guesstimate questions can be answered using something called as supply and demand constraints. Meaning, either the supply would be the constraint or the demand would be the constraint. So I'm not going to give you a complete answer. You can definitely Google and figure it out. But the idea was that in order for us to figure out how many crows are there in a particular city area, I need to know the number of trees that exist in that area. And in New York, Manhattan is like a grid, right? There are fixed number of streets and there are fixed number of avenues crisscrossing. And every block, there is a building and there are trees around the block. And plus, New York has a very big central park, and which is almost as big as the rest of the New York Manhattan. So, so I kind of assumed the area and then I tried. So my goal was to be able to was not to really find the number of crows per se, but was to estimate the number of trees in New York Manhattan area. And if I could estimate the number of trees, then I could estimate the number of nests in that tree. And in a nest, I could assume that, fair guess would be that, maybe 4 or 5 crows can live in one nest. So if I know the number of trees, then I know the number of nests. And if I know the number of nests, then I know the number of crows living in that city area. You see, again, the interviewer is not concerned really about the actual result. The interviewer is more concerned about the approach that you take, right? And then the interviewer will be willing to play with you, will be willing to solve this problem along with you. So read up a little bit more on guesstimates, right? In Ivy, I take one class, is very dear to my heart, because I really feel this is step number 0. So I call that class as the analytical problem solving class, and I specifically cover a lot of guesstimates. I talk about a lot of techniques to manage to tackle the guesstimate questions. I also cover a lot of data interpretation and structured problem solving kind of cases. So here, some of the types of exercises to practice here would be to practice at least 30 guesstimates and learn the technique to solve them. Practice CAT level logical reasoning, DI, and quantitative aptitude questions. And very important, especially for people who have a little bit of experience as well, work on McKinsey level kind of and data science interview cases. You'll easily find them if you Google McKinsey interview case studies or data science interview case studies, not just data science questions. Then you'll find a lot of technical questions, which are also important, but data science interview case studies, right? So you will find a lot of cases being asked on identify variables that affect or that help you decide pricing, discount, sales, which factors will help you decide which products should be sold together. How do you do product affinity together? There is a famous case study online. You'll find that large retailer in India realized that on Wednesdays afternoon between 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. A lot of surf and rice they sell together. So they created a combination or combo product out of that. Again, it was based on the data. So Sanyan's question is there a particular way to approach guesstimate? As I said, supply and demand. Supply and demand. So almost in every guesstimate question, you have to identify what is the constraint. Is supply of something a constraint or demand of something a constraint? Like in the crow example that I gave to you, Sanyam, what was the constraint? The constraint was what? The constraint was the supply of trees. If we had more trees, we would have more number of nests and hence more number of crows. Do you understand? But let's say the question is how much is your how much is the monthly sales of your favorite restaurant? Then there the constraint could be a mix of the two. Demand on during the weekends or during evening times, or maybe during lunch times, and supply during the off weekdays and during the time when there is not much traffic in the restaurant. So it could be a mix of those things as well. And number of people who travel by metro could also be a supply and demand driven guesstimate, right? It will be a supply problem when the demand is very high, and it will be a demand problem when the supply is very, very high. For example, during the off-peak hours, supply would be more, demand would be less. But during the peak hours, the demand will far outweigh the supply of the number of seats in a metro coach. So really, it depends upon these two things. So that's what I would recommend, Sanil. All right. So that was step number 0, which is to be able to understand how to solve problem. Almost in all interviews, specifically very, very important for this set of people, the fresh college grads, almost always you'd be asked some kind of a guesstimate by good companies, logical reasoning, BI, and quantitative aptitude kind of a problem statement, right? Alrighty, let's go to the step number 2, or step number 1 actually now. Not sure why it's not working. Okay, yeah, here we are. Dashboard and automation using advanced Excel, VBA, PowerQuery, PowerPivot. A lot of people forget that most of the data work still, data reporting, data cleaning still is done in Excel. Okay, so believe me, it's almost assumed the moment you are aiming for a data science interview that you're pretty good at it. And the worst thing is that a lot of times, just after your round 0, you're given a case study in Excel. So case study has a lot of business problems, right? And now Excel could be a significantly faster tool to work upon, right? But let's say if you're not good in Excel, then believe me, the company or the recruiter would have significant amount of doubt on your profile. So please, guys, a lot of things, when we work with companies like Honeywell, Tesco, Atlas Copco, currently also we're working with so many companies, we have realized that almost all the companies ask us to make their data science folks extremely good in Excel. Yeah. So there are a couple of things that you've got to become very, very good in Excel. Dashboard creation, right? We take it very seriously in Ivy. Almost all our courses, even if you're taking a cloud data engineering course, either you have to convince us that you're pretty good in dashboard creation using Excel, or we will make you join that module. And automation. The second part is automation. Automation helps you to expedite certain things that you do in Excel or with data very frequently. Give me 1 second, guys. I just brought my digital pen. Right, guys, I'm so sorry about that. And all the way to the other side of the table. All right. So automation basically means, let's say you are working on a machine learning algorithm where you're supposed to find the ID value, the weight of evidence value of a lot of variables of a data sheet. And you have to do, let's say there are 60 variables, you have to do it for each one of them. So you have to do it either manually, but if you can write a small VBA program that can help you do that, then what you're doing is you're saving significant amount of time. And then you can share that VBA program with the rest of your team members as well. So it saves everybody's time. I remember in Genpact, Genpact is one of our very, very old clients. And, we train regularly their data science folks. They have, they have one algorithm going, that was designed by, most of the folks don't even remember who designed that algorithm in VBA. That helps them, find the WA or weight of evidence value very, very quickly. everybody still uses it. So if you know VBA, then you can automate a lot of tasks in VBA plus macro. Then you can automate a lot of tasks that we do with the data sheets, and that will speed up your project's time, and everybody will appreciate. And plus, with these things, PowerQuery and PowerPivot, you can do a lot of data manipulation without even having to write any SQL queries or even Python queries if the data is not extremely large. Even if the data is extremely large, if you have a powerful system and if you're willing to wait a little bit, you don't even have to know a lot of, you don't even have to do a lot of things in Python. You can literally do it with PowerQuery and PowerPivot. In fact, one of our clients, they have specifically asked us to cover PowerQuery and PowerPivot for data preparation and data manipulation folks, which is a very important step in the world of data science. So what are the topics here in Excel? Remember, this Excel is not like MS Office that you might have learned in your school days. This is completely advanced level of Excel. Okay, you should have worked with multiple sheets. You should have worked with advanced lookups, index, referencing, array functions, condition formatting. I mean, very good amount of text functions, macro, VBA, data manipulation, merging, demerging, using PowerQuery, PowerPivot, database functions. So all the advanced things that we normally do in Excel, you should know, and you should also know how to create dashboards, how to do visualizations, how to do automation in Excel. So some of the projects that we recommend is that work with projects which has multiple worksheets and workbooks as well. Work on projects where you are required to do some automation using macros. Work on projects where you design, as I gave an example of custom, code to calculate the weight of evidence for your different variables of the model. So work on writing custom functions using VBA, very important, and very important dashboard, right? This is an extremely important thing that you must be aware of, creating dashboards in Excel. Very important, guys. Okay. Remember, the CXOs who actually end up utilizing your data or absorbing your data to make business company level decisions, most of these guys would not have Tableau, would not have PowerBI, would not have Python. They would have simple Excel or PowerPoint. So a lot of reporting is still done using Excel, guys. So do not discount this, especially again if you're in that two brackets, 0 to 3 years and 4 year to 6-7 years of bracket. Please do not discount the knowledge of Excel. Okay. Remember, guys, if you're working in a very large company like Google or Facebook or very large company, they may have very structured team where, okay, maybe even if you're a pure data scientist, maybe you're not very good in Excel, still you can survive, but I have never seen one. But in most of the other kind of companies, even startup, mid-size, service-oriented companies like Accenture, Cognizant, Capture, all these Genpact, all of them, they expect you to do right from the beginning of the data project till the end of data science model deployment, machine learning model deployment. So you can't say that, no, I don't know Excel much. I know Python, I can do a lot of things in Python, but I don't know Excel. You can't be like that. It'll be very difficult for you to get projects internally then. So that is the second thing. Dashboard and automation using advanced Excel, VBA, PowerQuery, PowerPivot. You should have worked on at least 3 projects here. Then the next step number 2, is data manipulation using SQL. Yeah, I mean, you can work on dashboard on Power BI as well. But having said that, Sanyam, still, if you want to be great in Power BI, I would strongly recommend that you should have created a few dashboards in Excel. Then you will be able to really create and understand Power BI very well, because Power BI is an extension of Excel. Same product, I mean, same company's product. Yeah, Sanyam? All right, what are the things using SQL? We will talk about SQL again day after tomorrow. I'm going to talk about SQL. I will make you work on a case study using SQL data manipulation case study. SQL is the language which databases speak. For example, you and I can speak English and understand each other. Similarly, the databases speak the language of SQL. So if you are a user of databases, let's say you're an analyst, or you're using a reporting tool like Power BI, Tableau, Python, or R, SAS, they all need to consume the data. So in order to consume the data, you need to send instructions, or in order to manipulate the data, you need to send instruction to the databases or the data repositories. And that is where SQL come into the picture. So SQL is that common language with all the database management system. That means the software system which allows you to create and manage data. They all of them support structured query language as the universal language. It's not really owned by any company, and hence it is extremely popular in the industry. If you only know SQL also, you will have a lot of jobs available. I get the point. So if you go through Ivy's YouTube channel, you will see, we actually emphasize on SQL quite predominantly because we have seen, especially for 0 to 3 years of experience bracket people, a lot of companies focus quite a bit on SQL queries, even for advancement. I mean, I have seen, I've seen very, very, very important guys. I mean, in fact, personally speaking, say I'm a computer engineer, so I learned SQL. I've been working on SQL for a long, long time. I used to think that why would SQL survive for such a long time, but it has survived. It is still surviving, thriving, and growing aggressively. So if you know SQL, your kids will not go hungry, guys. So what are the topics within SQL? So yeah, I mean, there is SQL and there is a programming level SQL as well. In data science, even if you do not know programming level of SQL, still you can easily, be all right. So what are the topics within SQL? Case and when, joins, unions, subjoins, distinct, string formatting, window functions. Very important. Very, very important. Very, very important, especially if you're working with an e-commerce kind of a company. See, we have students in Amazon, Flipkart, Oyo. All these companies have a have a dedicated at least 1 or 2 rounds in SQL, and where specifically they ask about window functions. Okay, very important. Having versus where, I don't know for how many years this question has been going. Top and at the row, again, one of the set of questions which is going on for years. Aggregate functions like grouping, and with the help of grouping, and within grouping, there are count, sum, average, variance, standard. A lot of functions are there, and stored procedures. So you can, again, here you can actually create your own custom set of stored procedures, like a function in Excel. Like in Excel, you have equals to sum. Here also, you can actually create your own set of function and store it in the database server as a stored procedure. So that is also very interesting in SQL. So these are some of the things, and all these things we cover in our data science program mandatorily in Ivy as well. So what are the kind of type of projects here that you must be aware of within SQL? At least 3 projects should have worked on. I mean, in our Ivy course, we make you work on at least 7 case studies, industry case studies, and 3 research projects. But at least bare minimum, we should have worked on 2 to 3 very strong end-to-end projects using SQL. Some of the things, and if you go to Ivy's YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of our students, have done a lot of projects, online retail, live projects, very good live industry live projects where they have used SQL to analyze data like movie recommendation, Netflix show recommendation, restaurant recommendation like Zomato, Swiggy. So a lot of these projects are there. So do work on them. And also very important, I strongly recommend participate in online competitions. This is important. You see, as a recruiter, I want to see, when I ask somebody that, all right, you've done a course, certification course, a PG course, diploma course, whatever, graduation, master's course in data science, you mentioned that you know quite a bit of things in SQL. So I'm going to first ask you, which project? Okay, let's take one of your SQL related project, and I'm going to ask you some questions. But then I would realize as a recruiter that okay, you might have done that project because an instructor might have given to you, and the instructor must have given you the solution also. And I might see the same project in 10 different resumes from the same institute or from the same school or from the same college. So as a recruiter, then my question is that what have you done yourself? So that is why in Ivy, what we do is that we make you work on research projects which are unique to you. You do the research, you work on it. We only help you, hold you, but we don't give the project statement. For at least in every module, 2 to 3 such projects are there, other than the projects that we give to you, right? So this research project gives you confidence. And these research projects, through these research projects, you can also participate in online competitions like a Kaggle platform, Hacker Rank, one of my favorite, Hacker Earth. There are so many such lead code. There is a very famous platform for SQL. I should have written it here, lead code as well. Must participate in these online competitions. You must also participate in LinkedIn skill assessment online. If those are free, you get free assessment as well, you get badges as well. What happens with these online competitions, when you participate in them, you get extra badges. And it's an external party accreditation of your skills, right? Like in university, in school boards, you have central board which accredits that, yes, you have learned everything. And these online competitions works like a peer-to-peer review to your projects, as well as works like a third party who's validating your skills. So that is why it becomes important. And you can highlight, showcase these things on your LinkedIn profile and on your resume as well. Very important, guys. The third step, statistics application. You cannot avoid statistics if you want to get into the world of analytics and data science, right? Maybe if you're a pure data visualizer, maybe you can know a little bit of it, but you cannot completely avoid it. Some of my topics, favorite topics that I always say, school level topics. Mind you, these are school level topics and ideally everybody should learn. And as an adult, when you open a good statistics book, especially one of the, some of the very nice statistics application book, almost any book will be decent enough book, but do open any statistics book as an adult and try to learn statistics as an application subject, not try to learn statistics as a exam oriented that I have to clear an examination, right? Learn statistics to apply, right? Learn statistics to apply on your general day-to-day life, and you will love statistics. Yeah, some of the things that you really have to be good with is probability, right? See, I mean, yesterday I was watching this movie Daswi. There is a Abhishek, but if you've not watched this movie, maybe you want to watch. There is a scene in the movie where Abhishek Bachchan, who's trying to clear the 10th examination, 10th diploma examination, he has to learn about in probability. So then he, one of his friend gave him a deck of cards and explained that, how many cards are there, how many colored cards are there. So probability has application everywhere. Very important topic, guys, if you want to really seriously get into the world of data science. This much at least I say, there are some concepts in maths also which are important, like linear programming and all, linear algebra as well. But even if you do not know them very, very well, at least if you're good in probability distribution, if you're good in these basic statistical concepts, you will still be able to crack the data science interviews. Some of the other things that you will see here: hypothesis testing, statistical significance, ANOVA, regression basics, very important. Again, as I said, it's important to know their application in real life more than anything else, right? Very, very important. Learn statistics now as an adult to be able to apply. Ask yourself, hey, how can I apply this concept? And you will find that probably there is no other subject as applicable in real life as statistics is. Okay. I mean, you might have seen how in Corona days, pandemic days, everybody was talking about logarithmic graphs. Everybody was talking about probability. Everybody was talking about what is that end game, what is that end date of the pandemic. Everybody was talking about the exponential progression. A lot of people, I mean, we all were talking statistics, right? Please focus on learning statistics from an application point of view. Just open any book and try to read. The fourth step is visualization. You cannot become a good data person, whether it is data analytics, data science, unless you are very strong in visualizing the data as well. The two most powerful tools, although there are others as well, other than Excel, I would say, PowerBI, Tableau, and then there is a distant third these days, ClickView. Then there's Google Data Studio as well. But more than anything, Power BI is getting quite a bit of popularity, and Tableau is also very, very famous. Both of them are extremely important tools, guys. If you ask me, I would say yes, you got to become expert in at least one of them, but you should still know the other one, right? A lot of our clients ask us to train, like Jetpack currently, we're training their guys on both Tableau as well as Power BI. But you got to choose which one you want to become expert in. We are seeing currently in Ivy, we are seeing more number of jobs coming in Power BI. Microsoft is really pushing towards Power BI. Visualization is a very critical thing, guys. Without visualization, imagine if you're watching election results on the TV, the first thing that happens on the election results there is that they show you the entire geographical map, and then they touch things here, and then they show graphs, they show various visualized way of depicting that data. As human beings, this is very, very important, guys. So some of the topics I've listed down here, connecting with different data sources. Oh, this is so important. This is also important in Excel. This is also important in SQL. Very, very important. Connecting with different data sources, filters, parameter sets, groups, dashboard, calculated fields. Very important. LODs are not mentioned here, but they're also important. Working with multiple databases, window functions also here. And then types of projects, at least 3 high impact dashboard projects. Participate again in online challenges, Makeover Monday, storytelling. There are numerous examples among our students who have done this and been very successful. And those are the guys who are hired the first. And also continuing step number 4, visualization with Power BI, similar things connecting with different sources, data transformation. Power BI is famous for data transformation, data models, the ER diagrams, very, very important, guys. The DAX functions is not mentioned here, but the DAX functions in Power BI, extremely important. So some of the projects, again, similar to Tableau, you can participate in Makeover Monday, storytelling with data kind of projects. And the last step towards the data science interview preparation is to be able to learn how to do predictive modeling, and I'll just write how to deploy the predictive models, deploy ML models on cloud. I'm just adding this. At least, even if you're not an expert, because as a data engineer, you are supposed to be very good in this. But as a data science person, at least you should have done at least one proof of concept project where you did complete things. That means you build the ML model, machine learning model, and also have deployed it on the cloud. Believe me, a lot of companies, even if you have a basic understanding of deployment, you would be asked, especially if you are in the first category of 0 to 3 years bracket, basic understanding is still required. If you are in a 4 to 8 years bracket, decent level understanding with some domain knowledge understanding is also important. Domain knowledge understanding is also important. And if you are 8+, then there is no option, but you've got to be extremely good in all deployment technologies of machine learning models. Not just 1 or 2, but all of them. Now, of course, the tools wise, I'm sure everybody knows that Python is the market leader right now, but R and SAS are also still there. There are a lot of companies which are still hiring in SAS and R, but Python is a market leader. You got to be good in Python programming essentials, but you do not have to be a web developer in Python. You don't have to really necessarily know like object-oriented programming and how do I design an app using Python. You're not, data science is not about that. But yes, using Python to manipulate the data is extremely important. Basic Python essentials, regular expression, NumPy, scikit-learn, matplotlib, basically to be able to, work with huge amount of data, know all the libraries and functions which are important to manage the data, to connect with different data sources, also to run SQL queries from within Python as well, and code-based visualization. Yes, we can do visualization in Excel, Power BI, Tableau, but here also a lot of interesting visualization can be done with very basic coding in Python. You must know them. Web scraping is not mentioned specifically here, but especially if you are in this bracket, you should know web scraping a little bit as well. Very, very important for data manipulation, data preparation tasks. And of course, machine learning algorithms, how to run different machine learning algorithms. We'll talk about some of them. Here, the type of projects that you got to work. Remember, a lot of people do this mistake. In your resume, let's say you mentioned that, hey, you know all the machine learning algorithms, right? Very confident. As a recruiter, I want to ask you at least 1 or 2 project that you mentioned in your resume, right? And I'm going to go very, very deep into it. I will go deep into your projects, whichever project that I have picked up. Or maybe I will also ask you specifically that, hey, which one is your favorite project? Or which one is your favorite machine learning algorithm? Let's say you pick up KNN algorithm, you pick up logistic regression, you pick up any one of these algorithms. I am bound as a recruiter. I will go deep. I will not stop until I have tested your bottom, right? I will go deep. So it's very, very important that, guys, when you're working on these predictive modeling projects, especially the ones that you mentioned on your resume, you should know everything out there about that particular project. Please do not discount this factor. As a recruiter, I will ask you and I will go deeper into your machine learning project, into any of your projects that you mentioned, whether it is about machine learning, whether it is about SQL or PowerBI, Tableau, doesn't matter. I will go deep into it. I will test your bottom, right? So it's very important that you know complete life cycle, all the way from data collection, data preparation, data cleaning, EDA, machine learning models, building, validation, and deployment. Deployment, yes, little bit at least I would expect you, especially if you have done something in the cloud. I'll be very, very happy to know that. I recommend do not more than 4 to 5 projects, maybe 3 to 4 projects. Complete proof of concepts, but complete one. Try to do everything. Divide your projects into some supervised algorithms and some unsupervised algorithms, right? Try to do at least one project from, maybe one of the project from deep learning as well, right? At least, right? Maybe do one project at least where you have to do good amount of web scraping as well. Very, very important thing, guys. Do at least couple of projects where you had imbalanced data sets. I know I'm using a couple of technical terms, but you can definitely Google about these if you do not know. Very important, guys. The interviewer would want to know about the challenges, right? As I said, guys, again, I'm summarizing the kind of project that I spoke about. Do at least one deep learning kind of a project. Do divide your project into supervised and supervised algorithm. Do at least 1 or 2 or from each one of these categories. Do make sure that the data sets that you're picking in your proof of concept projects have some complexity, like imbalanced data sets are there. There are significant outliers. There are missing values as well. Pick up projects with the data sets which are not pre-massaged. That means which are not already clean. Please never do that. Never ask your friend, hey, please give me the data sets once you have cleaned it up. Or never download a data set where you just have to run a basic logistic regression or a KNN clustering algorithm. Never do that, right? Do it end to end. Do less number of projects, but do it end to end. That's the basic mistake people do, that they try to cover all the machine learning algorithms without knowing any one of them very well. Right? Remember, knowing complete life cycle of 3 to 4 projects is enough. Right? Especially if you are in the 0 to 3 years of bracket. If you're in 4 to 8 years of bracket, then you got to understand the domain. You have to explain the domain. Have you deployed the machine learning algorithm in financial risk analytics? Have you done it in marketing analytics projects? Have you done it in CPG domain? Where have you done it? And if you're switching your domain, at least try to explore how those machine learning algorithms can be applied in different domains as well. Please do so. Very important, guys. Whatever level you are at, do not discount this step: data cleaning and data preparation, missing data. How would you treat missing data, null values? I mean, very basic things, especially if you're in 0 to 3 years, people will ask you, okay, will you impute the missing value or replace the missing value with average, with mean, with mean or median or mode or what, or something else? And how do you decide that? Very, very, very basic question. They will start with it. Exploratory data analysis, feature engineering, outlier treatment, extremely important. I can't emphasize on it. Very, very important. You can't really claim that you know machine learning models without having done these 2 steps in detail, right? I mean, we in our IB program, we specifically emphasize a lot on these 2 things. Very, very important things. Then comes the model building. And in model building, guys, remember, you have to, you will be asked, what is your favorite algorithm? Or maybe, the interviewer will randomly pick one of the machine learning algorithm that you might have done in the projects. Remember to know it completely, right? And as I said before, try to do at least one deep learning or computer vision kind of a project or NLP kind of a project. Try to do at least one of them. Yeah. Know your algorithm completely. I can't emphasize, re-emphasize, reiterate on this point. Know different use cases, application of those machine learning algorithms. Not just one use case, but multiple use cases. And the number and the expectation of you knowing multiple use cases would increase with the amount of years of experience that you have. But even as a fresh college grad, fresher in this role, you still should try and understand different use cases. See how can we apply logical regression in predicting the default, probability or default? How can we apply logical regression in predicting telecom customer churn, right? I mean, you should know different use cases of any of the algorithm that you have worked with. Maybe you have worked on one, but you should at least know the use cases in others. Remember, challenges faced. This is what the interviewer is more and more interested in. If you say that, hey, you worked on a project, you got great accuracy, right? And you had no challenges at all during the project, and still you got very good accuracy. The interviewer will understand that, okay, this project was a demo project, a dummy project given to you by your instructor, and you had no challenges whatsoever, right? Any good machine learning project will have imbalanced data sets, will have outliers, will have accuracy problem, and you will have to decide, you'll have to make a lot of micro decisions there, right? And that is what the interviewer is looking for. Is it making sense, guys? One very repetitive question that the recruiter will definitely ask you is, why did you choose random forest? Why did you choose logistic regression here? Why did you choose decision tree here? Why? Why not something else? Right? And you can't simply answer that, okay, X project, let's say decision tree or random forest gave you the highest accuracy and hence you chose that. No, there are a lot of other things go behind choosing an algorithm. See, what are the details? How do these models differ from each other? You should go deeper into these models. And remember, on any problem statement, any project that you work with, try to apply multiple algorithms. Try to understand why an algorithm is doing better than the other. What could be the reason? Don't just blindly judge on the output that, okay, this algorithm is giving better accuracy. Try to understand why. That's what the interviewer is interested in, right? Very important question. I don't know why people miss out on this. You have to know why a particular model was chosen. See, I'll show you one of the resumes of one of our past students, and you'll understand that how this happens. Let me show you one of the resumes. Give me a second, guys. Trying to find one particular resume of one of our students. Yeah, this one. Look at how the descriptions are defined for a machine learning kind of a project in the resume, and why. So this is something that we help people do. Look at the first one. Don't go with the language. There's some grammatical mistake, but design credit card fraud detection model in Python, provided data-driven insights. Data had imbalanced classes. They're very important. So she fixed it by solving them in 3 different ways. See, this is what the interviewer is interested to know. Undersampling, oversampling, smart. Then logistic regression gave the better accuracy, right? Over this under smart. And other algorithm applied or decision tree, random forest with these accuracy. So you have to understand that the interviewer is interested in understanding what kind of challenges you faced, right? And how did you overcome those challenges? Because that is the first and the foremost problem solving skill a data scientist has to showcase. Without this, you're nobody. Is it making sense, guys? So these were the 5 steps. And by the way, if you notice here that the projects are intelligently, she might have worked on more projects, but she has intelligently picked up those projects where she had different kinds of problems: web scraping, multiple models, time series, a regression project, and visualization projects are separately given here. So intelligently defined resume, project selection in the resume, right? Deploy at least one end-to-end machine learning project. Deploy it on production. If you do not understand what is the meaning of deployment, try to understand it, guys. This becomes extremely important if you are an experienced person. If you are in the bracket of 8+ years of experienced person, you would be probably required to understand how to deploy it on a smartphone using the smartphone resources. You would be expected to know how can you build a very, very highly scalable model as well, and how can you deploy that as well, right? So as you grow more in experience level, this point becomes even more and more so important, guys. So these are the 5 steps, guys, and one more bonus step I would tell you, which is that please, it's not necessarily a step, but this is a mandatory thing that you need to do. Build a LinkedIn profile, mention your projects, create a great summary for your projects as well, right? I'm going to give you another video where I've spoken specifically and given a lot of good examples from our students community that how to create a great LinkedIn profile. I'm going to give it to you from our from our LinkedIn, from our YouTube tutorials. I've recorded it. I've done similar sessions, so you can follow some of the tips I've given there. Short and professional snapshot of your profile, certification, your projects, very important. Build network using LinkedIn, exploit it, very, very important. You'll find all the talent acquisition specialists are there on LinkedIn. They're desperate to hire people. If you have created a nice profile and if you continuously talk about your projects on your LinkedIn, you will have a great advantage, guys. One of the things, I just want to show you, for example, what we do is that we help you create in Ivy's platform, in Ivy's courses. We definitely help you create a very strong intro. I just want to show you one profile, one of our ex-students' profile. So if you notice here, although she's specifically focused on becoming a data visualization expert, but a similar approach is taken for others as well. So now she's a co-leader of Tableau, which is a big thing. And she was a BCom grad, I would not even call her an expert, not relevant, BCom grad, but look at the amount of projects that she has done, and she's featured them, and so many people have liked it. So when you talk about these projects, 295 people have liked it. Some of the projects that she did as part of the course, some of the projects that she did by herself, and then she created a very nice, and she's very active on it. And believe me, if I show her resume as well, completely social resume. Social resume meaning a resume which has links given to her projects so that anybody can open, see them, give review, right? So as a recruiter, when I see a resume like this, I'm significantly more confident. See, online competition that I was talking about. She has given online competition links as well. I spoke about her profile, commerce background, social media engagement. She created some tutorial, right? So that's how you end up becoming social, and that's a very, very, very important step, guys. I've taken a few extra minutes, guys. Sorry about that, but just to help you understand the steps that we have covered today, there are 5 main steps that we spoke about, and the 0 step. The 0 step was the step where we spoke about that you want to create a very solid. So does anybody remember the step that we spoke about? Now, let me revise it for you. The first step the 0 step that we spoke about is problem solving and structured thinking. Here we spoke about the importance of knowing guesstimates and also importance of working on case studies, especially if you are a 0 to 3 year age experience bracket. This becomes guesstimates, logical reasoning, data interpretation, quant aptitude becomes very, very important. And remember, you cannot answer these kind of questions unless you have practiced them, right? And then some McKinsey level kind of a case study or data science interview case studies where the interviewer would focus more on the approach of solving a given problem. So that's going to be important thing as well. And the next step that we spoke about was step number 1, which is dashboard and automation using Excel, custom function creation using VBA, PowerQuery, data manipulation using PowerQuery, PowerPivot, very important. And then we spoke about data manipulation using SQL. SQL is a common language which databases speak. So as an analyst or as a reporter, you want to connect with the databases using SQL. Very important that you work on projects, and you work on projects which are independent projects as well, and not just the project that you might have done as part of the course. Something that we promote aggressively in Ivy. Participate in online competition, as I showed you a couple of resumes as well. When you participate in online competitions, you can give links, guys, and when you give links, people can review them, people can give their feedback as well, and it's just different. It makes you visible in front of the community, and external validation of your skills as well. Statistics application, a must for any analytics and data science person, but learn statistics as you want to apply in real life. And finally, visualization using Tableau, Power BI. And again, here also we spoke about the importance of working projects and participating in online competition. And finally, the 5th step was predictive modeling. Here, some of the key things that we discussed, that maybe you don't want to work on 7 or 8 machine learning algorithms. Maybe you work on 3 to 4 most important machine learning algorithms, but work end to end. Also understand how to deploy the machine learning models, so at least one of them, right? So guys, we will share the recording of this video with the folks who attended today's bootcamp. And remember, tomorrow and day after, we have 2 exciting sessions. Tomorrow is on Power BI using a case study, very important, very interesting as well. And day after tomorrow, I'm going to be back where we will talk about SQL using case study. And guys, before we wrap up the session, I'm going to be here for the next few minutes, and plus my coordinator has an announcement. My colleague has an announcement to make. Sonali.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So there are 2 things I would like to announce. One is that tomorrow's session, that is on Power BI, that will be starting from 6 p.m. and it will be till 7 p.m. instead of 7 to 8 p.m. All right. And the second one is like everyone who has attended today's session, I'll be sharing a form. So anyone who is interested to learn data science with Ivy, and attended the session today, they will be getting some special offer where we are giving PowerQuery and PowerPivot tools free of cost training. All right. So I'm sharing the link. Please fill up the form. Then our counselors will be getting in touch with you.
All right, guys, so there is something exciting for you guys. And guys, before I log off, remember, Ivy maintains a very interesting YouTube channel, and I forgot, I had promised that I would share one video with you. So if you go to IvyProSchool's website, YouTube tutorial, and search for LinkedIn profile, how to create LinkedIn profile, maybe. Best practices. So you will actually see, I'm going to share this video with you. This is my video only on how to create impactful LinkedIn profile for data science jobs. That's very interesting video, not because it's mine, but because I speak about some of the important steps that anybody should have, or should know in creating a nice and attractive social LinkedIn profile. Yes, very, very important today's time. See you guys in a couple of days. But remember, do not forget to join tomorrow's session at 6 p.m. And as Ishani, yes, Sanyam, actually watch this recording, Sanyam. I do take special classes on resume building as well, but do watch this video. Here also, I've spoken about, Sanyam, a lot of resume tips. A lot of these tips are going to be valid for your resume as well, Sanyam. In fact, I don't really like to differentiate between resume and LinkedIn profile. I give the same, very, very similar tips, Sanyam. All right, guys, I'll be here for the next 2-3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. If you have any question, I'll be more than happy to take care. All right then, guys. It was nice having you guys, and I will then see you guys day after tomorrow in the SQL based case study session, guys. And do not forget to join tomorrow, guys. Have a good one, and do not forget to subscribe to Ivy's YouTube channel. And I'm giving the link to the Ivy's YouTube channel, and you'll find a lot of exciting data science specific industry talks, industry expert talks as well, and plus interesting similar workshop videos. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Good night.